All right, guys, it's Randall Warnas and FX here from Parrot, and today we're going to be talking about the Anafi USA as well as the Anafi AI. I'll do a quick introduction of myself, and then we'll go to FX and get going. My name is Randall Warnas. I'm with Enterprise UAS, and we've been in the drone reselling space for over 8 years and represent a number of different brands, DSLR Pros, Dronefly, Aerial Media Pros. And basically, we bring on vendors like Parrot and try to give you the best technology to your use case. Whether it's public safety, utility inspections, and we'll be talking a lot about those use cases today. And today we're bringing on Parrot and my guy FX to talk about their technology and what they've done to really change the game when it comes to drone technology.
Randall, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for having me. My name is FX. I'm the sales manager for Parrot in the Americas. I've been in the UAV industry for quite a long time. In fact, I've joined Parrot in 2010, right at the beginning of the consumer drone era. We'll be going through the brand today and what we've been doing with our latest platform, what we're trying to bring to the market for the different verticals we address. So yeah, very happy to be here, and yeah, let's go.
Sounds good. Well, Parrot being a manufacturer of unmanned technology started about when, and really can you talk a little bit about the timeline and how we got to these products specifically?
Yeah, so Parrot has started with drone in 2010, so it's been quite a long time that we are with the drone in the drone industry. Basically today Parrot is a professional drone manufacturer, which means that we target 3 market verticals, which are defense, public safety, and enterprise. Within enterprise we put everything related to inspection, mapping, construction. So Parrot is a French company, as you may hear with my accent. Parrot is a French company. We have headquarters in France, in Paris, and headquarters in the US in Florida. And also within the Parrot group, we have Pix40, which is a software solution company, which is integrated with our UAV products.
Right. So the kind of initial step into representing the enterprise world, when did Parrot start making enterprise platforms?
So, well, from 2010 to 2016, 17, we've been focusing on the consumer market with a different range of products. I'm pretty sure a lot of the people that listen to us today have known in the past the first IR drone, which was the first consumer drone controlled by a smartphone that was brought on the market in 2010. And in 2016-17, we've started to have professional drones on the Parrot drone side of things with thermal camera. Back then it was the Bebop thermal, etc. So the shift from consumer to a full pro company actually happened in 2017, 2018. Yep. So it's been now for 4 to 5 years.
Sounds good. And so when someone is out selecting drone technology, what makes Parrot stand out? What makes Parrot different? How, when you develop products, how is that a different process? And really, who are you targeting these days?
Yeah. So, well, first, we very much believe in portability, lightweight of a platform. So when you actually see the different Parrot products, you always see products that are easy to carry, lightweight, easy to fly. We're not talking about like big industrial drones or these type of things. It's actually, we're trying to put the most of the technology in compact platforms. Right. Everything is done from A to Z in-house. So we develop from the software, the firmware, everything in-house in Paris. And yeah, we'll dig into the features of these two products, the Anafi USA and the Anafi AI. But security is also a big concern for us. And so across the line, you'll see what we've been implementing for security on the platform, which is a very big topic.
Sounds good. Well, let's start with the Anafi USA, and we'll talk a little bit about the variants of the process, the 2 different products. But what really defines this platform as an industrial tool?
Yeah. So just to give a bit of context around this platform, Anafi USA has been actually designed initially for the short-range recognition program with the US Army. So basically the goal was to provide and develop a platform that was portable. It's 1 pound, it's very lightweight, very capable in terms of optics, and so we'll dig into the optics that we have here, but we have 3 cameras mounted on 1 gimbal, 2 RGB and one thermal. Flight time 32 minutes, so very capable platform in terms of flight time, and wind resistance and flight behavior, but compact. This drone has been, again, designed for very much like defense and public safety operators. And with the different features that we're going to see, especially the zoom and the FLIR capabilities, the thermal capabilities, it's a very good drone for reconnaissance and all operations that, you know, clearance, overwatch, all this type of operation that public safety could do.
Right.
So that's Anafi USA and highest position.
All right. And the payload, you were talking about how you have the 3 cameras. What is the purpose of the 2 EO cameras?
Yeah. So what we've done here, think about it like what you have on a smartphone, for example, where on an iPhone, for example, you have different sensors, and you're going to start very wide and then go through the different sensors to zoom in. Basically, this is exactly what we've done here. So we've put two RGB sensors, one wide angle, one telephoto, and the 2 together allow us to do 32 times zoom and identify someone or something from 1.2 miles away. So this is very much it's very much a surveillance drone because you can actually see things very far.
Right.
Which is pretty unique on such a small drone. Like, people are always amazed when they see the zooming capability of this product because they think because it's small, it's not capable of zooming that far. But so this is what we've done with the 2 RGB. So the 2 RGB are like this, and next to them we have a thermal camera, 320, a FLIR boson, and this is obviously, as you very well know, to do thermal operations, so see at night, etc., do a bunch of things with the thermal. And what we do is that we blend both imagery, so the RGB and the thermal, which means that you can have thermal imagery all the way up to 32 times zoom. So at 32 times zoom, you're going to be able to have the thermal imagery because it's acting as a layer on top of the RGB. We mix everything. So that's the blending that we have. It gives, as you know, more context in what you're saying.
I know that you said this, but I just want to make sure this is something I was unaware of. Usually with MSX that FLIR offers, that blending is still static. It's basically overlaying the thermal feed on top of an RGB image. But there is no zoom capability on most things that have MSX. So I'm just making sure that even through that zoom, you still have the overlay.
Yeah, you do.
That's actually crazy. I would like to see that in person, but I want to go back to the RGB thing as well, because the 1.2 miles is actually quite significant, and being able to know that should help squad teams for public safety know where they can set up and where they can deploy the drone and away from the scene
exactly.
That they're covering. And you're saying that Parrot made this so that you can identify a person at 1.2 miles.
Yes, a person, a vehicle.
Yeah. How does zoom work for things up close, like inspection work?
So the zoom will work good for inspection work as long as you are within like the zoom used between from 1 time to 15. But the drone has been very much designed for public safety and not so much for inspection.
Yeah.
We'll talk about inspection later on, and a very drone designed for inspection is actually Anafi AI.
Right.
This drone has been designed very much to see people or things from far away, like so big things from far away, not small things from close. Like, this is how it's been designed, reconnaissance basically.
I understand. Okay, so there is, I won't say confusion, but because we have an Anafi USA and there's 3 different versions of that Anafi, can you kind of walk through why they exist, why there's different variants, and then what distinguishes the variants between them?
Yes. So, as I said, when the product has been designed, it's been designed for the army, and we had one product, like the drone itself. Then we were like, okay, we want to commercialize this product in the market, and the made in USA, the fully made in USA and NDVI compliant drone is actually coming with a pretty high price point because of the fact that it's made in the USA and compliant with all these standards. So we decided to do kind of a lightweight version of the Anafi USA, where we keep the same drone but put the Sky Controller 3, which is a bring your own device controller with the kit. So the price difference is basically explaining the different position of the drones, of the different SKUs, of the different flavors of the product. So we have 3 products, 3 flavors of the product First one is Anafi USA, so the product remained the same, the capabilities, the payload, the craft is the same. What differs is the fact that the controller is the Sky Controller 3, which is the controller we've been using on the Anafi Thermal, for example. It's a controller that we've been using quite a lot for our products. And on this controller, you will bring your own device, being a smartphone or a tablet. This product is, so Anafi USA, the craft is made in USA, but the kit together is not NDVI compliant, which make Anafi USA standard not a Blue SUS.
Yes.
Then we have the Anafi USA Gov, which is the kit we're having here. So same craft, but with the Sky Controller USA. The Sky Controller USA, we'll dig into the controller later on, but it's actually a dedicated controller with a built-in screen. And so this pack is Anafi USA Gov and is fully NDVI compliant and is a Blue SUS.
So let's imagine that you own the Anafi USA, but you want to make it Gov. Is it that you just would get this controller, or is it more complicated than that?
It's more complicated than that because there is also firmware stuff behind the Gov that have been done. Some security and safety features, some security certificate also to actually be able to fly this product everywhere you want, even if it's export control. But anyway, so it's not as simple. So when you have a kit, you have a kit, and so you can just mix and match.
Got it. Okay. So other than the aircraft being the exact same, the flight app is the same between the Anafi USA and the Sky Controller 3, or the Sky Controller USA and the Sky Controller 3?
The flight app is the same, FreeFlight 6.
Yes.
However, you have additional options when you're having a Gov edition or a regular edition, because the product will recognize if it's a Gov or not, and so you'll get additional features, options within FreeFlight 6.
I understand. Okay, hopefully that's clear. And I do want to point out, if anyone has any questions about anything we're talking about, put it into the question section. We'll get to that at the end. So even as we say something, you're like, oh, wasn't clear, or you want to know more, please put in your questions. We'll get to those at the end. So let's kind of dive deeper into the controllers, what make them unique for the drone industry. Is there anything that really stands out that would maybe be not so typical for someone else flying another product, either a Parrot product or something else?
People very like the form factor of this controller and the way it stands, and how you can actually pilot. It's pretty rugged. It's IP53, so it's really a controller that has been made to be on the ground. You're going to be able to stream videos with an RG45 cable, which is different from the HDMI, but basically you're going to be able to stream the video feed directly to your computer with this cable. So something people may not be used to, but something that works very well.
Yes.
In the controller, in the Sky Controller USA, we have an Android tablet, which means that you can download and run apps easily from the Google Play Store. An example would be if you want to do mapping missions with this product, you would download Pix4D Capture in order to plan for your flight plan. Easy to do. Go on Google Play, download it, you're good to go. We have a very strong focus on making our products compatible with other software solutions through our SDK. And so we have a bunch of softwares that work with this platform, and so again, easy to download right on the screen, right on the tablet directly here.
Does the controller limit you for what you can download onto it? Can you download a bunch of stuff that's unnecessary and not compatible to the drone, or does it limit it to like a marketplace?
So you could download, I mean, it's up to the user. If you want it to be secured, we have a way to just lock it down completely, and we've done that for some users, especially the Army.
Yeah.
If you want it to be open, we can open it. It's basically just loading a secure profile on the tablet and locking it in or not.
Yeah, so you can basically use it as a tablet if you were inclined. Because the reason I ask this is there's a large competitor in the drone space that when they have built-in tablets, it's difficult to put even third-party apps on those.
Yeah.
So I'm just making sure that I understand how open, how easy.
Right now, as it stands, it's easy, and you can actually load the apps. If some customers have requirements to lock them completely for their fleet, this is something we can do.
How often are people using the stylus?
It's pretty convenient, in fact. I do use it. For example, when you're playing with the blending, you're playing with the blending directly on the live video feed, and so you have a cursor that you can move up and down, and it just makes things pretty easy and very precise.
Right.
Yeah, so we've put this, I mean, as an option.
People, yeah, perfect. Yeah. And then the other controller, the Sky Controller 3, as being a bring your own device type thing, is it iOS and Android compatible?
Yes, iOS and Android compatible. In how you see it here is basically where you would actually load a smartphone on the top. We also have an accessory that comes in the pack where you can put a tablet on top, so you easily can fit both. It's a controller we've been using. It's a simple controller, but it's working very good. In fact, it's a controller that is very known in the market. So it's an easier configuration and cheaper configuration for people that want to use Anafi USA and don't necessarily need a Blue SUS.
Got it. Perfect. So let's talk about the security things that have been built in, and I think encryption is one of the main components that are a differentiator to the Anafi products. And it's not only the USA, but it's also, not only the Gov, but the USA has that encryption as well?
Yes. So security was a big concern, or was a big topic when we've been developing this product with the Army, for the Army. And security is something that we don't take lightly at Parrot at all. So first and foremost, in Europe, there is a regulation that is called GDPR, General Data Regulation Protection, which acts as a regulation for the security of the data from the users. Okay, Parrot is a GDPR compliant company, which means that we go through a very stringent process of audit on everything we do on our platforms, starting from the encryption between the ground control station and the drone, the firmware encryption, the updates, the fact that you cannot compromise the firmware between the drone and the control station when you update the firmware, etc., etc. On Anafi USA, we've pushed this a little bit more even, because we had the requirement that if a drone is lost, which can happen sometimes in operations, the operators wanted to make sure that their data, and when I'm saying data, it was the videos and pictures, are not compromised. And so we have developed a way to fully encrypt the SD card. And so only the SD card will be only able to be read from the controller that the operator has until it unlocks it, and then it goes regular way. So we have a full encryption from the link to the data that is sent to the data that is on drone in the SD card.
Right, so, and you built this, not only the SRR program, there was requirements, there are very clear requirements, yes. But throughout the industry there is this kind of wondering of where data is going, where it's being stored, who is able to access it. As far as Parrot goes, because it's a French company with the US headquarters as well, if someone's flying a drone in the US, do you know where those servers are?
So the servers are located in Europe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're all Parrot-owned servers in Europe that any Parrot data would go to and never anywhere else.
If shared.
If shared.
By default, the data is not shared. So in FreeFlight 6 or in FreeFlight 7, you opt in to share your data with us. The level, and we have everything explained in the white paper, there is a lot of information about this. The level of data that you share is always also very little or just necessary in case we need to look at the flight log, for example, or something. But we're very cautious of what we do with the data. And I mean, we can talk about this later, but you know, in terms of security, for example, we did provide access to our platforms to a bug bounty. Yes, we hack, where we tell them, okay, hack us. Hack us and tell us, and you will get a reward if you can actually hack us, because security is a big concern, very big concern. So yeah, that's the type of things we've been doing with Anafi USA, and we've done other things also with Anafi AI. We'll talk about it later. But.
So we talked yesterday about this Yes We Hack thing, and I guess the question would be, has anyone been paid?
So far, not that I'm aware, which is a good news somehow. Yeah. But people are actively working and trying to actually hack the product.
Got it. All right, so let's talk about processing, and what we mean here is when you're capturing the data, that's only one part of the mission. That's only one part of like what we do with unmanned platforms is go and take the pictures or take the videos, and this is really what you can do afterwards. because Parrot owns Pix4D, because you work closely together, obviously that's one agent of this. But what can you do with staying with the Anafi USA on the processing side, and what partners on the software side have you been working with outside of Pix4D?
So if you want to fly the product manually, you're going to use FreeFlight 6. So, and within FreeFlight 6, you can actually establish a flight plan. But this flight plan is not going to be optimized to do photogrammetry afterwards. So in this flight plan, you may take videos and pictures, but that's it. If you want to do photogrammetry, then you're going to use Pix4D capture, and you're going to establish your flight plan. And then with this data that has been gathered, you can actually process it in different type of photogrammetry suite software. Pix4D React is kind of my favorite go-to software to be used with the Anafi USA. Why? Because based on our customer base, usually they don't necessarily need a complete 3D map with a lot of details. They need a quick 2D map. And maybe you want to talk about what's Pix4D React real quick. Pix4D, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you'll know more than I will, but Pix4D basically makes, they tailor solutions to different different verticals.
Yes.
So the user has probably pumped hundreds of hours of feedback into Pix4D to create these different things. And React is targeted at public safety for accident recreation, maybe some pre-mission planning where they go fly over an area that they're going to be doing something, and then they have a detailed and current map of what that area looks like.
Exactly, yes.
So
and offline.
Offline, right, exactly.
So it's super powerful because you can fly the drone really quickly, do your flight plan, and in no time, in 5-10 minutes, have a 2D map of the exact situation you're seeing on the field. So Pix4D React is a very good combo with Anafi USA. Having said that, it works with any photogrammetry software that is processing data. It's as soon as you have the data, you can then crunch it everywhere you want, basically, pretty much.
So because the Anafi USA on the app itself does not have those photogrammetry patterns, you would fly the Anafi USA with React to do that.
With Pix4D capture.
With Pix4D capture.
Yes.
Would you be able to fly it with Pix4D capture and drop the data into something like Agisoft or Drone Deploy or potentially a competitor? Because I know that not everyone is necessarily, if they want Parrot, they don't want to be married to Pix4D, yes. Or if they're married to Pix4D, maybe they want to use something else. So it works both ways, right?
Exactly, it works both ways. Of course, because Pix4D is a sister company, our products are fully integrated with Pix4D. However, you can do photogrammetry with the picture is a picture. Yeah. It's a drone picture.
Right.
So you're right, you would use Pix4D capture to just do your flight planning, and then when you have your data, you get your data and you process it where you want in other photogrammetry software if needed.
Perfect.
Yes.
So let's talk about this beautiful girl over here, which is, I would say, even being in the drone industry as long as I have, I had never seen anything like it, and it's relatively new, so I actually hadn't seen it up close and personal until very recently. So I'm sure that with the news, when you launched it, many people were excited about it, and then maybe just haven't had the deep dive of what it can do. So Anafi AI, why was it built? What makes it different than anything else?
Yes, so maybe just starting about the design, because you mentioned it, it's a very unusual design, and this is mainly due to the imaging system. If you take the drone, in fact, I mean, the main part, this is the battery, and the main part of the drone is this system that we have here with this gimbal separated from this one, and so these two camera systems. So the design of the drone is very much related to this. Then you have the cooling system here, which is a pretty big one because the processor is getting hot a lot because of everything that is processing here. And we'll talk about this, but we have the 4G modem just right here, and a 4G modem in a drone is something very new, and so this is why we have the cooling system that is on top. So the design is very much related to these two things, the fact that we have a lot of CPU going on, and the imaging system and the 4G connected. What makes it different from any other drone is the 4G connectivity, and we'll talk about this in details, and what we've done with the imaging system and the obstacle avoidance, because we do obstacle avoidance in a very different way that people are used to see it.
Yeah. We'll just dive deep into these one by one. So first, let's go through just generic specs. I know that I have on here 32 minutes of flight time, which is very similar to the Anafi USA.
Same.
Yeah. So I guess what other things can someone expect from that maybe if they're used to flying in Anafi USA, when they're flying the AI would be different just from a drone control standpoint, not necessarily the payload or the 4G connectivity?
Yeah, so the feeling when you fly the drone is actually different with Anafi AI, especially if you have the obstacle avoidance on. Because since we are actually processing the images that are captured with the obstacle avoidance system live when the drone is flying in order to sense and avoid, your feeling when piloting the drone is very different than when you have no obstacle avoidance, which is very direct. In fact, you can turn it off, and if you want a drone that is very direct, when you push the stick, it goes very quick. It works also, but with the obstacle avoidance, this makes it a bit different. The drone is still small. It's actually a bit bigger than the Anafi USA. I mean, we can see this here. In terms of weight, this is 1 pound, this is 2 pounds, so it's a bit heavier. So these are like the differences that you're going to see. In terms of how to get in operation, it's as quick, meaning below 60 seconds, you will be up in the air and connected to your device.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that one thing about these platforms that we don't really show on slides is foldability as well. And does that fold basically the same way, right?
No, so it folds like this, when the other one actually folds like this.
Yeah.
So these ones are just...
Go on top.
Yeah.
Yep.
Foldability, IP rating. So Anafi USA is IP53, and we've been testing this extensively, especially with rains. Of course, it's not made to be flying in the hurricane scenario, but it will end up, it will actually manage the rain pretty good, and the dust. When this one will manage the rain, it's IPX3 also.
What does that mean? I've only seen IP and two numbers. What does X mean?
Because it's not dust. So when you have an IP rated number, first number is for the dust and the ranking, like the grade, and the second number is for the rain, the water. So this one is dust and rain, IP53, 5-3 basically, 5 for the dust, 3 for the rain.
Yeah.
This one is not dust, so it's IPX, i.e. and A. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
3 for the rain.
So I don't know if we talk about this where autonomous takeoff and landing is something that's very important on the AI. Is that because of the dust rating, so that you're not actually landing on the ground, kicking up dust? Is that why that was put into place?
So it's a good point that you're raising here. So we've always had end launch with the drones. You can also end land in Anafi USA, but with Anafi AI, what we've done is that the end landing is much more precise because we use the cameras in order to exactly identify your hand, and when the drone will land, it will actually position automatically on your hand and land exactly and precisely on your hand. So it's not necessarily because of the fact that it's not dust protected, it's just to provide people an option to take off and land from accidental ground or something like this, a boat, for example. That's...
And the last thing I'll point out is that you mentioned IP rating, but there is this fan on the top.
Yeah.
You have said that fan is not jeopardizing the resistance to the water or the IP rating.
Yes, because that fan is running and is blowing air out. So it's not going to jeopardize the fact that the product is actually IPX3 rain resistant.
Perfect. All right, so let's talk about the payload, because it's obviously a very a different design. What does it do differently because it has this design?
So when you look at the payload, I mean, we need to differentiate the different systems we have here. Here we have 2 stereoscopic cameras mounted on a pitch axis gimbal. These 2 stereoscopic cameras are made to do the sense and avoid obstacle avoidance. How does it work? They will constantly move in the same direction as the drone, which is kind of like unusual to see. When you see the product fly with the obstacle avoidance on, you will see as soon as it's moving up, the camera is going to face up, and then down, forward, backward. And so this system is kind of constantly moving, and people are not used to have something moving on the drone when the drone is actually operating. And the way it works is that we have very, very wide sensors here on both sides. which are actually also made not to see these cameras. So this is how, and this is why we have these design and these angles in terms of camera positioning. And so these two cameras are gonna do this in the different direction of the drones. And so they're gonna see what's around, map it, and send the order to the drone to sense and avoid. In FreeFlight 7 app, you have the ability to actually switch and see exactly the 3D modeling being processed by these cameras when flying. It's something that we share with the users because it's pretty amazing. So that's the sense and avoid system and these two cameras. This camera is the main camera. So it's your camera. It's the camera you're going to use to capture pictures, videos, and data all around. It's mounted on a 3-axis gimbal. Plus, we do digital stabilization. So just a side note here, we've been doing digital stabilization since quite a long time. If you remember the Bebop drone, the Bebop drone was a fisheye lens and the video was stabilized without a gimbal. And people were like, I don't understand how you stabilize a picture without a gimbal, because you have a fisheye lens. So you have space to crop basically and stabilize the video. And so we kept this technology and we still use it. So in this drone, even if we have a 3-axis gimbal, mechanical, we also have a 3-axis digital stabilization and we blend them together. The sensor is half-inch sensor, 48 megapixel sensor, capable of zooming 6 times digital. And so back to what we were saying, this is exactly the type of sensors you could use to look at something up close. You're next to a power pole, you're next to a utility line, a building, a facade, you want to inspect with it. The drone can actually come very up close safely with the obstacle avoidance, stay there, and you can move the camera all the way up, all the way down, because it's mounted on this gimbal, and then zoom in. So yeah, this is the system that we've been developing in terms of camera.
And I think from feedback that I've heard over the years with unmanned technologies is the ability to look up and even beyond up allows you to do different kinds of inspections that most drones previously with gimbals hanging on the bottom were unable to do. I think that that's important to point out, as well as the obstacle avoidance. When you mentioned that there's that live 3D map, so you could basically pilot and see, make sure that it is detecting all the obstacles around. I think that a common question would be, what about things like power lines or branches on trees where they maybe are sticking out and they're not a huge mass? Does it see that as well?
So it very much depends on the thickness of the elements you're considering. If it's a very, very thin wire, it might not see it. But usually with trees, for example, it's actually the trees, the branches, the leaves, and so it becomes kind of a block of something that the drone would identify and avoid. So it does a very good job at that. And as you said, if users want to have fun and just double check if it's picking it up or not, they can actually see this from the app directly.
Yeah, that was the first thing I was thinking is if I took this outside, I'd be like, how hard can I push that obstacle avoidance? What things will it see and not see? So I think we covered everything on as far as the optics. Oh, you mentioned the 1/2-inch sensor.
Yes.
So the industry has been trained to be like 1-inch sensor is superior. 1-inch sensor, it's larger so that you're getting more clarity. But we talked yesterday about how that's not necessarily the case, and there's more of a tactical reason why you would potentially want a 1/2-inch sensor. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So it's the effectiveness of or the efficacy of the sensor with the results you're getting that matters at the end of the day. And this is a very good segue to our next slide, where we're actually talking about mapping. So this drone has been designed for inspection and mapping. Within FreeFlight 7, in fact, you have the ability to plan your flight plan, which is different than the Anafi USA, where you use FreeFlight 6 and Pix40 capture. So here you use FreeFlight 6, Pix40 capture. Here you use FreeFlight 7. Yep. One thing. And here we're comparing actually the Phantom 4 Pro V2 with a 1-inch 20 megapixel sensor and the Anafi AI with an 1/2-inch 48 megapixel sensor. We fly at the same altitude, 164 feet. you're going to map this area in 27 minutes, approximately 27 minutes, with the Anafi AI, when it's going to take you 48 minutes with the 1-inch sensor. And your GSD is going to be 0.8 centimeter per pixel versus a 1.4 centimeter per pixel with the 1-inch 20 megapixel. So it's just to show that this setup and the way we've built this drone with this camera is much more effective, or you get a better result when mapping with a platform like this than when with a 1-inch. When if you put them on spec comparison side by side, you would think the 1-inch would be more effective.
Right. Yeah, the Phantom 4, obviously has been a workhorse for surveying and mapping, but this drone was designed to show show the users a different way that they could do this mapping with a different product, but the seamless connection with the flight app, not needing to go into a separate app outside of the drone control. That's also that workflow is also part of what makes this special, right?
Exactly. The interface with FreeFlight 7 is super intuitive. You would create a photogrammetry mission. So you have different piloting mode, and we'll see, I think we'll see this in the next slide. Well, that's the controller. We'll see this right after, but you have different piloting mode. When you're in photogrammetry mode, you're going to be able to choose and do your simple grid, your double grid, your orbit. Or we have a new mode that we're going to actually do today, which is the one-click mapping. So one-click mapping is you have your map on your screen in FreeFlight 7, and you have the buildings. You click on the building, automatically we do a flight plan, which is a grid plus an orbit of the building without you doing anything. You click on play, the drone will fly, gather the data, and if you want, because it's 4G connected, you can actually send it to the cloud. So yeah, that's a very big thing.
You mentioning the intuitive nature of FreeFlight 7.
Yes.
Looking at this platform, it might be intimidating to someone that's maybe new, like the surveyor that's going from sticking stakes in the ground to flying a drone. It shouldn't be seen that way, right?
It's FreeFlight 7, the way we've designed the app is super easy. And for example, with one-click mapping, you can map a building being a very beginner in the drone with drones, you know. So yeah, we very much focus on making things easy and seamless with the product.
So let's talk a little bit about the controller, and obviously the app is going to come on your own device. So it is a supply your own device product.
Yes.
iOS compatibility only.
For now, yes.
For now. What else is unique about this controller, since many people would be used to the original Parrot controller or maybe the ruggedized version? How does this compare?
Yeah, so we've been talking about the payload capabilities and the capabilities of the product in terms of what it can do for inspection, for mapping, etc. What we've not been talking about is the 4G. Mm-hmm. And 4G is kind of like potentially the primary feature of this product. It is the first drone in the market that is having a modem in the drone, which enable the product to be connected to the network directly. So we put a SIM card in the drone, like you have in your smartphone, and this drone is connected to the network. On the controller side of things, you would put a device. So I really like to use this iPad mini on the controller. It's a good size. It's a good size screen. And so in your iPad, you have connectivity with a SIM card or sharing the connectivity of your phone with an hotspot, for example. Mm. The way it works is the drone will have two connections from the beginning. On one side, it's going to be connected via the Wi-Fi, like any other drones, and on the other side, it's going to be connected with the 4G. So from start, the dual connection is established. 4G will help you fly in some areas that are congested, and will make sure, with the 4G capabilities, you will have a very robust, solid link in any circumstances. So that's why we actually use a smartphone or a tablet on this controller, because this tablet will give the connectivity in order to connect to the network via the carrier, and on the drone we have the modem. So we didn't include a modem in the controller. It's actually iPad or smartphone tablet doing this job.
Yes. And I think we're going to talk about 4G more in depth, but about what it enables. Should we wait? We'll wait to talk about that. The controller, right? Yes?
Yeah, sounds good. The controller, so basically you can fit a smartphone or a tablet. It's adaptable. We have an HDMI out here on the controller. It's charging via USB-C, like the batteries of the drones. Everything here is charging via USB-C. It's not proprietary, so it makes things easy because you want to charge from a power bank, whatever. You just plug. Yeah, that's it on the controller, I guess.
Perfect.
Sky Controller 4.
We talked about FreeFlight 7. Did you want to talk
Yeah,
about
so
yes.
just briefly on this. So we were talking about the fact that we've put everything in one app. And it's, as you can see on the screen here, well, you have the different missions mode. So piloting is where you're going to do everything manual. Photogrammetry is where you're going to plan your mission. So as we said, symbol grid, double grid, orbit, or the one-click mapping. Everything related to photogrammetry is here. Cool thing about it, you're gonna open it, plan your mission, name your file or name your mission. When you take your SD card out, you're gonna have the name of your mission with the folder. You take this folder, boom, process. It's super easy and easy to recognize also when processing. Flight plan is more if you want to do a flight plan with a point of interest, etc., in a manner that you want to do, more for like cinematic shots or photo shots. Cameraman mode is something that is very, very used by public safety operators. We have it on Anafi AI, we have it on Anafi USA. Basically what it does is you put your drone on position, you're going to lock on a target, let's say a vehicle, and the drone will automatically adapt the tilt of the gimbal and the yaw of the drone in order to keep this object in target. You can override the control in order to move the drone forward, backward, left and right, but the yaw will be just locked on the target. It's very good for overwatch situation for public safety, and cameraman mode is something that is usually used on public safety. Now, one of our team members actually found a very good way to do inspection with cameraman mode, because basically you're going to lock on a target for example, let's say you do a bridge inspection and you want to keep on target something on the bridge. You're going to lock it, play with the drone, go up close, have the obstacle avoidance, safely do that, turn around, and it's going to keep the thing you're inspecting, zoom in, zoom out, move, and so always you're going to be able to have this in target. So cameraman mode, when we mainly used it in the past with public safety, now we also find it very useful for inspection. Vehicle mode, it's something very new. Basically, by default, we provide the option to take off and land from a moving vehicle. It's super complicated to take off and land from a moving vehicle. I know you know.
Yes.
And so we provide this in FreeFlight 7 with this platform. The drone will actually recognize a target, and so hold position and land and take off from moving vehicles. So very, very innovative to have this in this product. And then touch and fly is basically you put out a map, touch, give the altitude, the speed, go on the map, and then you can operate. So that's a quick overview of FreeFlight 7 missions options. It's very, very complete and very easy to use, and everything is in one app, which is very good.
Okay, I guess we're not on 4G yet.
It's related.
Okay, so let's talk about what makes this thing secure. And I guess this would be because you're looking at critical infrastructure, because the users could be public safety, for instance. There's a lot of data that maybe would be sensitive. So what has Parrot done to kind of step even further into the security of that data?
Yes, I'll start with 4G, and then it's going to be linked to cybersecurity. So why did we develop the 4G drone? We developed the 4G drone because we very much believe that the future is to have a UAV connected to internet while flying. Because you can do, if you think about it, you can do a bunch of things when your drone is connected to internet. You can send data, you can actually have a software that needs to ping the drone and get some data while flying, and so you send it to a cloud and you do something with this data. I mean, there is a bunch of possibilities. So right now, the 4G serves two main purposes. One is no range limit. This drone, of course, according to legislation and regulation.
Of course, according to legislation and
yes,
regulation.
But this drone is ready for BVLOS. Because you can be in Utah, I can be in Florida, and take off the Anafi AI that is in your garden with the controller I have. So it's BVLOS ready. Also, 4G and the robustness of the link is not necessarily only useful for BV loss, it's also very useful for EV loss operation. I have the case of a firefighter from a city out east where they operate in a very busy environment. It's a big city, and between the towers, sometimes being an RF link or Wi-Fi link, he loses the link with the drone. So the 4G for him is very useful in this type of environment. So that's like the connection side of things with the 4G. Then it's the ability to have this connected to internet. And so, for example, with the FreeFlight 7, you could upload your images that you've taken with the photogrammetry mission directly to Pix4D Cloud while flying or while having the drone in your car, but while being on your mission directly. So you're back in the office and everything has been sent and is processing already. So the 4G capabilities, I mean, it's opening a wide world of opportunities to have the drone itself connected to internet. And last but not least on 4G, the drone is carrier agnostic. So it means that it's going to operate on the different carriers in the US. It is operating on the different carriers in the US, T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T. And you just simply put a SIM card, an activated SIM card in the drone, so a SIM card that is having access to internet, put it in the drone and automatically the drone will connect to the 4G. So that's about the 4G. Now back to the security. So you know very well the UAV game, you know very well a lot of different platforms. You may imagine that putting 4G on a drone is not easy, especially when you need to go through a carrier process where the drone will ping the network needs to ping back the drone, etc. So there is a lot of back and forth encryption, authentication going on when doing the 4G connection. The way we've done that is that we've integrated in this drone hardware element from a company called WiseKey, which is a company in Switzerland. And this hardware acts as a safe. So basically all the authentication encryption keys are going to be stored in this WiseKey element. That's one thing. Because we have this WiseKey element able to authentify, encrypt, etc., we also do something with the encryption of the pictures. Each time you take a picture with Anafi AI, this image is digitally signed. So it means that we know that this picture has been taken by this drone at this time, at this place, and we actually vet that. So it means that there is no way to corrupt an image. For example, saying, this drone this image has been taken at this place at this time, but you change the metadata and you make it feel like it's been taken the following day, which is very important sometimes in some scenarios where you need evidences or these type of things. The images are digitally signed and all the information is locked. Last but not least, in terms of certification, WiseKey has been working to certify this product for FIPS, which is a certification in the US for computer security. Again, about all the security of the data of the users, etc. A lot of information is available on the white paper that we have online. Right. We've done a lot on cybersecurity, so it's just to highlight a few things, but yeah, this is what we have.
And I think that those white papers are something that I have not seen a drone manufacturer that isn't a very small volume take the time to do. So if you are interested in deep diving into some of these things, look at the Parrot website. Not only is there a huge amount of FAQs, but also those white papers. I learned a ton in a very short amount of time. They're really easy to read, not ultra technical, but dig much deeper than we're going today. So the last thing I think we're talking about is 4G again, just to kind of further explain what you're able to do. I will start with saying, the fact that you can control remotely, that BB loss is okay, that you're not having interference from building, from steel structures, from cell towers, from other things that cause those interferences. That's really important. But it is the future, right? I guess I'm not asking the question yet, because when I was at FLIR, I did this, a lot of education on thermal, which at the time was very foreign. And I remember going into a presentation early in my FLIR career, and I did a presentation titled Dream in Thermal, because it was really the idea of thinking about what you could start doing with thermal that you
yeah.
never really realized. And there's a Dr. Ian Kerr of Ocean Alliance started measuring the temperature of whales' blowholes using thermal drones because he was this dreamer. He also was the guy that did Snotbot, catching whale snot onto petri dishes to collect those samples. What do you think 4G should inspire in people to start doing? Because it is new.
It is super new. It is super new, and we see it every day when our users go to a carrier store and ask for a SIM card for a drone. You should see the face of the sales guy in the store. The guy's like, why do you want to put a SIM card in the drone? Which drone does accept a SIM card? Because it's never been seen. So we're paving the way with 4G. Now, again, it's something that right now, we're only at the very beginning of the curve with 4G. Today, as we've seen, we've integrated the 4G for the link and the robustness of the link. We have the option to upload the data with the 4G, and we're going to be bringing more features using the 4G in the next month because our products are always evolving. Thanks to firmware updates, basically. But also 4G. It's something that is very interesting for the ecosystem of developers to use. It's the first time that they have a flying robot. It's basically a flying robot connected to internet where they can, and we'll see this in the SDK, but the next slide is about the SDK. Yeah.
There it is. Oh, shoot. Every time.
Here we go. With Anafi AI, we've pushed the boundaries of the SDK. The SDK now is available for the platform itself. Basically, what you can do is that you can code using everything, the cameras, the sensors, the 4G, and build your own program for the drone to use it and run it. When before the SDK was only the ground, what we call the ground SDK, where you have an app here, and we provide you the software development kit to communicate with the platform. So we've pushed the boundaries of this, and so again, 4G in the next future, 4G, 5G, just the fact that you can connect to internet will bring a lot of additional features to drones.
Yeah, and I think that what you're talking about with the SDK, what I think is also important, and I mentioned this a few times, is looking at this airframe, it's unusual. It's not what you're used to, but it functions in a way that you can be comfortable with out the gate. The ease of use to use a camera like this with obstacle avoidance sensors, the thinking work is already done for you by the app and by the flight controller. Parrot already took care of that. But if you are also on the end of very high-tech, very, you want to dive in and really understand it and manipulate the controls and manipulate the data capture through an SDK, that's also possible. I think that creating that range and making it understood that this could be your first drone, this could also be 10 years into drone use, that
exactly.
You're going to find that it's expandable, but it's also controlled enough that you can do simple missions.
What you need to do today, and if you want to push it to the boundaries, it's exactly what you're saying. It can be considered as a regular drone. It can be considered as a drone that is very innovative with everything. If you want to use the 4G, if you want to use the automatic mapping, etc., and then it can be considered as a robot that you use to do programming. We have 4 things. So as I said, the ground SDK, which will enable you to have an app communicate with the platform. The air SDK, which is the SDK of the drone. We've developed a simulator, which is called Sphinx, available on the developer's website, in order for developers to test all the features they've developed without flying the product in a simulator environment. And last but not least, FreeFlight 7, we're giving the app naked, i.e. without all the piloting modes that are proprietary, to the users. So they could, instead of having to develop an app from scratch, they could use what we call open flight. It's FreeFlight 7 naked. Use it, or version, use it, and put directly their missions, so they don't need to spend the time to develop basic control and so on. Everything is already available. So 4 things: ground SDK, air SDK, Sphinx simulator, and OpenFlight. And these are all the tools available on developers at Parrot.com on our website. We have a forum where people can register. and actually exchange with our engineers and our tech teams when they do stuff on our products. So yeah, very open system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess in closing on the airframes, I mean, the AI is pioneering a new way forward for drone technology because of 4G, because of the differentiation of cameras and how it captures data. The target users would be industrial inspectors, but not only limited to that. It would be public safety.
Yeah.
It would be kind of anyone.
Yeah.
And so I think that when drone programs are looking to expand or looking to start, the AI does really great with RGB imagery capture, really great with photogrammetry. And I think that when we talk about the expansive part, the SDKs and all of those things, like that is the future.
Yeah.
Those people, the people that live in that world will think of ideas in which will create drone technology for years to come. But I think that the people that need to capture the data now, protect their communities or check out assets, it is built for that.
Exactly. It's ready to be used for different type of users. Being enterprise users, so inspection, construction, mapping, public safety. The case the example I was taking before with the 4G robustness link in a city environment was a fire department. Because a fire department not always need thermal imagery. They do also a very decent amount of time need just only RGB imagery.
Right.
So yeah, that's completely correct.
And then just on the AI, on the USA, we have a Gov version that's if you need blue UAS distinction, if you need it to be made, country of origin is in the United States, and there's issues on that front for your organization. But there's also a light version, which basically allows you to get into the Anafi USA at a lower price, but you're getting the same 320 resolution thermal, the same RGB camera, the same functionality.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, we've covered the drones. Now let's cover some questions. Now, before we get into questions, please, if you have more, type them in. Like we'll stand here all day. You tired? I'm not tired.
I'm
we'll stand here all day until questions are done. But if you do have questions that you want follow up on, my email is Randall at Enterprise UAS. François-Xavier Charbonnel.
Yeah, long French name.
Do you pronounce the L at the end?
Is it Charbonnel?
Charbonnel, yes.
Charbonnel,
All right, at Parrot.com.
Yes.
So get at us. Obviously, I say that I've been in the industry a long time and I've been hopping around, but FX has been in the industry 12 years.
Yes.
And has seen some stuff and been a huge cornerstone for what we're doing. And I honestly am honored to stand in front of the world next to you, my fellow Frenchman, and also a good friend in the industry. So get at one of us if you have questions, if you want follow up. Obviously, if you want to purchase or have a demo of this technology, you could reach out to me, Randall at Enterprise UAS. And now we're going to get to some questions. So give me a second to pull those up, and hopefully what I find is that there's tons of them. There are a few. Hold on one second. How do I pop these out? Pop out. Okay. So questions. Okay, there's a question about tethering. It's a specific tether, but I'll ask more just generally. Has Parrot ever done anything with tethering themselves, or do you know of anyone that does tethering for either of the products?
Yes, so it's part of what we call the ecosystem around our drones. So basically what the focus for Parrot is to develop and manufacture drones at large volumes. And this is, trust me, a very hard task already. Now, we have hardware or software partners that do specific things better than we do. In terms of tethering system, there is two companies I'm thinking of right now. One is based in Europe, which is called Arastel, and they're working on a solution.
That's what they asked.
Yes,
specifically.
Yes. So Arastel is one of the company in Europe that is working on a tethering solution for the Anafi AI. Also, there is another French company called Elister that works on tethering solutions. And if we have a user that has a specific case for one or the other platform, they can reach out to us. We can actually open a discussion with these companies because we have open communication with them.
Perfect. There was a question about whether Pix4D capture can run on the the Sky Controller USA, and even I remember that you can pretty much put any app and run any flight app on here. So it doesn't even need to be Pix4D capture, but others as well, from what I understand.
Yes.
Cool. Let's see. Are these drones compatible with Pix4D capture? We covered that. Prop guards. For inside use, interior use, what is kind of the experience of interior use with either platform? Would you recommend it?
Yeah, I do think that this question might be for the Anafi USA.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you
they
why.
They said for SWAT, so...
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know why? Because today, from experience, public safety operators have an issue because in the blue list there is no indoor drones. So I often get the question if Anafi USA can fly indoor in a GPS denied environment, and also the prop guards question. So first answer, Anafi USA is completely capable of flying indoor in a GPS denied environment because we have the ultrasound sensor and the VCAM operating on below the drone in order to stabilize it horizontally and vertically. So no problem to work and fly in a GPS denied environment. Prop guards, we don't manufacture prop guards ourselves. Now, there is some third-party companies that do manufacture prop guards, and so the customer can actually reach out to us, to you guys and to us. We'll put him in touch with some people that do develop and produce prop guards for this product.
Perfect. That's a great answer, and the answer being yes is always better than the answer being maybe someday. So that's good. Someone asked about whether the Sky Controller USA can be seen easily on a sunny day.
So the limitation with this product is the fact that we use a Samsung tablet. So basically the brightness of the screen that you're going to get is the brightness that you're getting out of a tablet in front of the sun. So this is what people can expect. The good thing about it is the way that we've integrated the tablet in the controller, and so there is air going through and so on, so they will never face any issue with overheating, issues with the tablet, etc. in the controller. We've been flying this thing in front of the sun several times with no issues, so yeah.
Perfect. So someone asked that you being in the state of Florida, the Florida legislation that has shut down certain drone technologies, especially Chinese drone technologies, is Parrot on the approved list for Florida drone operators?
Yes. So the list that has been put together for Florida right now is basically a copy-paste of the DIU Blue SUS 1 list. Parrot is approved. Parrot is on this list. As the list stands right now, it's listing brands and not products, which means that if you want to follow the regulation today, you could buy either the Anafi AI or the Anafi USA.
Either version.
Either version. If this list moves tomorrow, there is a very, very high, it's almost 100% sure that Anafi USA Gov will be on this list because it's a Blue SUS. If it's not, then I don't understand anything. But so this product will be. It's not sure that the other ones are going to be because they're not NDVI TA. So bottom line, today for Florida, Parrot is on the list. You 100% sure that if you buy an Anafi USA Gov, it will be and remain on the list. And if you buy an Anafi AI or a regular Anafi USA, there is a probability that if they change the list, it's not. However, it remains a French company with everything we've explained about security, etc. So, yeah, that's the status.
Got it. That's a perfect answer. Someone asked the kind of sensor on the AI. We talked about 48 megapixel. We talked about it being a half-inch sensor. Do you have more detail as far as like who manufactures the sensor, if someone were needing that detail, or is that in the white paper and they can check it there?
It is in the white paper. Okay. So we have a ton of detail about the sensor in the white paper. We also have it in the technical spec sheet that we have on the website. So all documentation is online.
Just know that the person that asked the question about the sensor, I'll personally send you over the documentation via email, just so that that's in your hands and you don't have to go look for it. But Parrot.com, look through their support stuff because I think that it is a benchmark setter as far as the amount of work that you guys have put in to give support online. Compatible with remote ID on AI.
So remote ID. Right now in Europe, we do actually stream the ID of the drone. We have an option to do this in FreeFlight 6. We will be compatible with remote ID in the USA when the legislation is actually finished and we know exactly what we need to do.
Yeah.
Today it's not the case, so it will be compatible with remote ID as soon as we have a clear understanding of what remote ID is.
Perfect. Someone asked the question about batteries on the USA versus the Gov and the compatibility of using batteries from one type of airframe to the other.
Yes, so the batteries are actually not manufactured in the same territory, but the batteries are the same batteries. So they are compatible. You could use an Anafi USA battery in an Anafi USA Gov and vice versa. No problem.
Okay, someone asked about agricultural sensors on any of the Parrot products. So I guess you can choose how far back you want to go, but the question being, can you put agricultural sensors on these if they don't already exist on board?
So no, you cannot modify the payloads that are on these two products. And it is for a reason, it's because we go so far with the software and firmware and the way we manage everything with the payload that we don't want to just change a payload and have interchangeable payload, because everything is very linked together when we do these drones. We do not have today multispectral sensor options in the range. There is few companies that do multispectral sensors that are very good. We don't have an option for that. Some people use our drones for agriculture, but only with RGB.
Got it. Okay, we have two more questions that are in there. And again, I mean, we can stand here for a bit longer and answer questions. So if you have them, put them in so that we get to you and get to what you're thinking about. Someone asked about geofencing restrictions. This is obviously, there's a manufacturer in the drone industry that shuts drones down when they're in certain airspace. Does Parrot force any of those restrictions? Do they give you a warning? What does that whole thing
It's a very good question, and I, in fact, should have mentioned this during our explanations. There is no geofencing at all, no-fly zones with our drones, which means that you can take off everywhere, and which means that the pilot is actually responsible for what he's doing. Our users are Part 107 pilots. They know what they're doing. They know where they can fly, where they cannot, so it's their responsibility, but we do not prevent the users to fly our drone.
Perfect. Then the last question, unless something else comes through, there's a user in Africa, and they're asking about for procurement in Africa and whether they have the ability to receive training, whether getting parts and repairs and things like that in Africa is something that's built out. Is there infrastructure there for Parrot in other parts of the world?
Yes, so we have we work with different partners in different territories. Enterprise US being one of our partners in the US.
One of your favorite partners in the US. I'm fine with you leaving it at
and
that.
so we have partners in Africa in different territories. I don't know on top of my mind. The best way to inquire about this is to contact us directly on our website. We have our partners listed on our website based on the different territories. So just reach out to us, and depending on your location, we'll tell you where is the distributor closest to you.
Yes. Yeah. Perfect. Well, it looks like we're at the end of questions. We've obviously given a ton of stuff for people to think about. Again, if you have any questions after this, feel free to reach out to us via email. This will also be recorded, sent out to you so you can view it hundreds of times throughout the next 12 months until we do it again. But FX, like I said, a friend for life. I'm so happy we were able to do this together, and look forward to doing it again.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much.
Cool. Take it easy, guys.